Hey everyone. So I'm back here to discuss another piece of media that I recently consumed. Sorry for my crooked glasses. My ears are kind of crooked, so they always come off looking weird. But whatever. And yes, these are old glasses. They're slightly bent, but whatever. I don't really care. Anyway, so recently I read the book Martin Chuzzlewit by Charles Dickens, and I know that that's not necessarily considered one of Dickens's greatest novels, but it's kind of mid tier, I guess. I've heard some people say they don't particularly like it, but I actually did enjoy it very much because, like every Dickens thing, it really moved me emotionally. I like the way Dickens comes up with characters. I like the way he gives them distinct personalities, and his characters tend to be likable and hateable, and like they're people you can really they feel real to you. And I just I get a lot of enjoyment out of reading Charles Dickens. So there's one character in Charles Dickens who I'd like to discuss today. And, if you do intend to read the book eventually, then, this might contain some spoilers. So I'll give you a warning ahead of time. And some people argue that even though the book is called Martin Chuzzlewit, the real hero of the book is a character named Tom Pinch. And the reason I wanted to talk about Tom Pinch is because I think he may be a character that I relate to most in all of the Dickens I've read. I feel like Tom Pinch in some ways is me. So I'll talk to you about Tom Pinch a little bit. He's a very good-hearted man. He's a man who works as I guess you could say, a domestic servant or domestic. I don't know what his title is exactly. Like, basically, there's a rich man named Pecksniff, and he lives in his household and works for him, and does things for him, like handles accounting stuff or runs errands for him and things like that. So he's just kind of like I guess a servant is the closest thing you could consider him. So anyway, Tom Pinch, he greatly admires Mr. Pecksniff, his employer, although basically everybody else who knows Pecksniff doesn't really like him that much because he's a total phony. He's an obsequious guy who just tries to ingratiate himself with people so he can, gain from them personally. Like, he's a manipulative, bad person. And Tom Pinch, he seems to be a pretty good judge of character, except for the case of Pecksniff. Pecksniff's like his one blind spot who he can't see through. And like I said, there's spoilers here, so eventually there comes a point where Pecksniff's true nature uh, is made clear to Tom, and he eventually parts ways with him. But the thing is, like, about Tom is everybody who meets him can't help but love him. I mean, Pecksniff doesn't love him because he just sees him as sort of a nobody. But everybody else who meets Tom just kind of can't help but admire him because he's such a sincere individual. He's such a kind-hearted individual. He's such a caring person. And I think even on the like he can be a bit naive at times, but he has this sort of like humble sincerity that everybody just likes about him. And when he leaves Pecksniff's, everybody's escorting him away and telling him how much they're gonna miss him. And it's just Tom's Tom Pinch, like you're supposed to love him. You're supposed to see him as like the symbol of a good-hearted man. And there's only so, and I kind of feel like the reason I related to Tom Pinch is because I feel like he's kind of like me in some ways. I think I'm a little too earnest for my own good. I'm a little too trusting for my own good. But people generally seem to like me and appreciate me because they see that I have goodness in my heart, I guess. And I do try to. I remember there's actually a page that introduces all the characters in Martin Chuzzlewit and did for Tom Pitch, it describes him as I think it's an unpretentious but high-souled man, Souled. Like, he's a man who has, he has an appreciation for finer things. He has an appreciation for higher ideals, and he tries to aspire to them himself. And I think he plays the organ in church, and he plays it really well apparently. And it's like he's just one of a kind. And even though some might say he's a bit of a simpleton, they still can't help but love him because He's just got a good heart. And I think that's kind of how I come across to a lot of people too. Like maybe I'm a bit simple at times. I mean, I do think I have some degree of intellect, or else I wouldn't be making videos like this. But I think that people can tell that I have a heart that yearns for something better, that craves something bigger, and they appreciate that about me. I think like the way people react to Tom seems to be the way people react to me in a lot of ways. And Tom, and not to say like, and I'm humble like him, because I guess calling yourself humble kind of makes you not humble in a way. Man, I hate these glasses being crooked. I got to get new ones. Sorry. But there's one thing about Tom that I can also relate to, and that it kind of concerns me. Again, not that Tom's a real character, but Tom eventually sees a woman, he thinks she's very beautiful, and he falls in love with her. But it turns out that that woman is Mary Graham, who's engaged to young Martin Chuzzlewit. There's 2 Martin Chuzzlewits in the book. Again, you're not reading this, you're not listening to this because you plan to read it, because there are spoilers, I've warned you. And eventually he just has to accept that, even though he befriends Mary and she's good to him and he's good to her, that basically she's young Martin's woman, and he can't have her, and he just resigns himself to that fact, and he's happy for them in their marriage, and he's good with it. But when the book ends, Dickens didn't even give Tom a woman who enters his life and marries him eventually and appreciates him. Tom just becomes sort of a beloved sort of uncle figure to the children of the people around him, and he's loved by everybody, and he's a good man, and he's an example of what a good man should be. But he never gets the girl, and I guess that's kind of the same in my life. I'm the nice guy who genuinely tries to love others and give to others, and yet I never get the girl. It's always the other men who get them. So I don't know. It's kind of uncanny when you read a book that was written in the 1800s, 1840s to be precise, almost 200 years ago. And yet the character study seems like it's like an archetype of somebody who still exists today. It's like I'm a modern day Tom Pinch. It's like this character is me. So I was rooting for him the whole time, but it seems like Dickens just had a good grasp of humanity and human nature and how things happen, and I guess he knew a guy like Tom Pinch never would find love, but because of the goodness in his heart, he was happy for others who did, and that was enough for him. And I guess that's how it's been for me my whole life too. I wonder if it'll ever be, quote unquote, my turn. I don't know that it will, but I can always hope and pray. But yeah, anyway, so Martin Chuzzlewit, it's a good book. I liked it. I don't know if it's necessarily his best book that I read. I mean, I haven't read nearly all his stuff, but I read all the really big name ones. And I think Great Expectations is probably in my opinion, the best overall of his novels that I've read. I know a lot of people say Bleak House is one of his best, which I've never read. Some people say Bleak House is a contender for his best novel, but I haven't read that one yet. So we'll see when I get to it eventually, I hope. Yeah. So talk to you later.